You got to believe. You got to believe.
Welcome to Girl Get Real. I'm Sammy, and I'm sitting here today with Nicole Crone from My Aligned Purpose.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I've been so stoked to talk to you today. I randomly ended up at your event through a friend of mine. You guys were hosting a Christmas gathering for business women. Do you want to?
Yeah, the entrepreneurial Christmas party. It really came about because my husband started his own business a few years ago, and he was like, let's go out for his business name is Figs. And he said, let's go out for Figs staff Christmas party. And it was me and him. And it became the running joke of like the staff Christmas party was always just my husband and I was his plus one.
Yeah.
And then we got to talking about like entrepreneurs don't have that luxury like people that work in a setting with other colleagues have to have a Christmas party. So then Kayla and I said, let's have a Christmas party. And then you were there.
Yeah, it was such a good Christmas party. You had quite a few women there. We all had to introduce ourselves, which obviously I was really nervous about because I was like, am I even supposed to be here? No, it was funny, but there was a nice range of women in business and in all different levels. And it was such a fun night. And I appreciated that because I work from home in my marketing branding business. And it can feel very isolating. And honestly, yeah, when it came to Christmas, I was like, yeah, I don't get a Christmas party.
No, we don't.
Woe is me. Like I felt kind of like, oh, wah, wah, wah. So that was really fun to attend that and meet you and meet your business partner
Kayla,
and
my other half in business.
your other half. So you guys have been in business together for 5 years
Mhm.
and you run a coaching business.
Yeah.
You're the mindset coach of the duo, right? What does that mean?
So I have my coach training and I did my coach training in leadership coaching so that I could support and develop leaders. And when I graduated with that coach training, I got hired to go coach people in the school system, which I had previously been a school teacher. So when I was a school teacher, I thought, the ultimate dream was to climb the ranks and become a vice principal and then a principal and then go into admin, higher up admin from that. And then, there's a whole story about how I got out of teaching. But so when I graduated coach training and I got hired by a coaching company, the very first opportunity I had was to coach the administration staff of Edmonton Public School District.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I don't know, this isn't really my vibe. Everybody's kind of checked out. They're all just like waiting to retire. They didn't want to hear from like young old me, somebody in her mid 30s that they had 30 plus years on me. And I felt that a lot of that coaching was really working on their mindset of you get an hour to be here to think about how to enjoy your day more, how to enjoy your work more. Like, let's talk about your mindset around this. And when I was a teacher, mindset was really big for me. I did my yoga teacher training. That's all about the power of your mind. To be able to sit in meditation, I mean, that means mind mastery. And so I just fell in love with how we can work with our mind. Then I did my NLP training, which is neuro linguistic programming. And what I found when I got into coaching is that somebody can have all the systems in place. They can have the strategy, they can have the website, they can have the launch going, they can have the funnels built. But if they don't believe it's going to work, it will not work.
Yeah.
You can hire a CFO, you can hire all these fractional people to come into your business. You can say you've got the big vision, but if you don't believe the big vision, it won't pan out for you. And so I just saw so many women who were saying, I'm following the strategy. I'm doing exactly what I was told to do by previous business coach or YouTube or this $97 course I bought. And within like 1 minute, I can hear somebody's limiting belief. And I'm like, oh, actually, this is a story you're telling yourself. Let's put that story down, rewire, rewrite a new story, and then you can totally take on the world. You can transform your business and transform your life. And it really does all start in here.
Yeah, and we had a call and I got some free coaching. I felt so bad after that call. I was like, I like literally just got so much value from that call.
Don't feel bad.
But you know what's so funny is so I do branding and marketing as well in my business, and with clients that I work for, I can have that very instantaneous view of where we need to go. I can see them, and I always actually recommend them to do the limited beliefs work. I used to have a girl that worked with me, and she was a Reiki master, and sometimes we would start developing their business, and then these blocks would be happening. And like you said, like all the pieces could be in place, but then there was these personal beliefs holding people back to reaching. And it's funny because when we were talking, I have the same things inside of me because we're all human. And I kind of opened up with you about, just restarting my business after a divorce and getting my confidence back and kind of finding my niche and kind of getting, like my pricing right. And you were like, you need to do this, this, and this. And I just didn't want to get off the call with you. And I was like, oh, maybe we should schedule a new call because having the right mindset is so key to success. It's also something that you can't do yourself. And I found that on the call. I needed you to reflect back to me where the block was. So you have quite a few clients all over the world, or is it primarily Canada and the US, or is it
It's global, yeah.
global?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that must be so exciting. How does your day work? So when you're doing like the workshops, or I think you were telling me about the classrooms, how does that work when someone wants to do mindset work around business?
Again, and just to your point of like, it does take somebody else to pull it out of us. It's so deeply subconscious. Of course, we're all walking around saying, I want to be successful and I want to have more impact and I want to make more money. And then if that's not happening, it's not because you're not consciously doing the things, which is very like your conscious mind is really analytical, it's really logical, it's really thinking. And your subconscious mind is all memories and patterns. And so you at this age is like, I want to do this and I want this to happen. But like little Sammy has stories that she so deeply believes that it's hard to see otherwise. Just like we could say this is green, and somebody that has a different belief could come in and really try and prove us that this is not green. But it's just so hard to see things in another way after years, if not decades, of seeing it one way. So I think that when somebody works with a mindset coach, it brings to light like, oh, I didn't even realize I was seeing things this way or that I was speaking this way. So that's where it gets to be so helpful because it's like pulling up the subconscious mind, which is actually our program. What does a day look like in my line purpose? I feel like I'm living the dream right now. I'm living a life that I prayed for and wanted and manifested so bad. I used to be a teacher and I loved teaching and I loved the students. I taught high school, but I did not like the politics of education. And more importantly, I didn't like being told what to do. I didn't like being told, yeah,
Interesting.
I didn't like being told like, this is what you have to teach and be in the classroom at this time and do it for, 60 hours a week and blah, blah, blah. So when I found myself in this business, obviously, when Kayla and I first started off, we were wearing all the hats, as business owners do.
Yeah.
And then as we were able to grow and scale, we were able to outsource and hire and build out the team. So our day-to-day is we actually run more week by week is how our business runs. So we have a program called Align CEO Method, and it's a 12-month mastermind, and that's 90% of the way we work with people. Here and there, we might open up something smaller, but we really do believe it takes at least a year.
Like I'm like, how do I squeak in?
Yeah, it's open. It's open enrollment.
Waiting to wait here.
But that's the thing. People have this commitment, a fear of commitment of a year. Oh my gosh, like it's either the price point or it's the time commitment. And we're like, time's passing anyway. So do you want to grow your business or not? Like, a year. It's a year commitment. And we have people who've been in there all 5 years. They're like, I love this. I want to keep coming back. So we run it week by week. 1 week, we do a call called the Method Call. And it's a 90-minute call where we teach our Align CEO method. Every single call is backed by mindset first. So we start with the mindset, the identity. Who are you as a CEO? Then we get into the actual, like, if you were a CEO that had a systems run business, here's the funnel that we would put into place. And then we help people build out the funnel. but then have the mindset of, oh yeah, I get to be a badass boss that has a funnel in her business. And then the second week we do what's called our monthly mindset call attached to what we call Vortex. So I lead everybody through an NLP training so that they're like activated and ready to go. And then we do 3 hours of deep co-working together. So we set people up for like the next month of content or email marketing or whatever it is. Then the third month, which would be this week, or third week of the month, which is this week that we're in, we do what's called mini masterminds. So we invite all of our clients into a Zoom room and then we break them off. We give them topics to mastermind. It's kind of like speed dating. They go into rooms with 2 to 3 other people. They have 10 minutes each. They come back to the main room. We coach them. Then they go back into another room with new people. So again, it's like this speed opportunity. And then the fourth week of every month, we go back to that mindset vortex call. So we do that again, get deep into NLP, go into co-working, and then it just repeats like that every month.
Wow, that's like amazing. I really want to do it. It sounds like you have a lot of value in it. And, we kind of came together to talk about breaking a glass ceiling. So for like just in that month, that's a ton of value, a ton of growth. You're learning a lot, not only from you and Kayla, but also from other entrepreneurs, CEOs. Like, where are people at 12 months? Like, did they just blow the roof off the ceiling? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And they feel like they have the best group of girlfriends that they didn't even know they needed. That's, I would say, the number one thing. All of our clients say, like, I came for the coaching and I stay for the community. It's become such a sisterhood of people. And so we do our big event every year that I was sharing with you. We have coming up at the Oak Bay Beach Hotel. We do that every year and our clients fly in from all over the world and they're like, oh my gosh, it's you in real life, because they see each other on Zoom every week.
like alumni that come.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of She Leads, if people stay to the very end of this episode, they get to unlock a little promo code to that. She Leads is in April, and you have not only like your current clientele, but alumni get to come to that.
Alumni come to that, and it's an open event. There's the Oak Bay Beach Hotel said we can fit 170 people in that room.
Wow.
And in our year-long program, we have about 40. So the rest of the people buying tickets are just people that live here or Up Island or Vancouver. We have some people flying in from the States that aren't clients, but they're like, I really want to come check out what you two are doing. So it's going to be really fun.
I was going to say, people aren't going to want to miss out on that, and I hope to come too.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Thinking about what you could do with 12 months time in coaching with you and just breaking that glass ceiling with mindset. Even though I'm actively working in marketing and I like my clients, I do have a sense of like, I'm not the greatest with my boundaries. I'm dealing with burnout. I'm having confidence issues, like even we all have these in business, and I'm like so eager to learn like how I would feel at the end, because I think a lot of what you and I have talked about is like how you feel and how you can like envision that success. And
right away, I'm like, I wouldn't allow you to keep affirming that. When you say I'm not great with boundaries, I would say, well, we're going to reaffirm that. That's not a story you want to keep telling yourself, because the more you tell yourself you're not great with boundaries, you're going to be like, hey, I'm Sammy, I'm not great with boundaries. So I just like, Sammy, I'm not great with boundaries. So I hear these things and then I work with you to reprogram that. Like, that's deeply subconscious. There's something in you that really believes that, and it's not supporting you.
Okay, I commit to you just right now. I'm gonna stop saying that.
But yeah, like glass ceilings. I mean, we have some incredible success stories, but some of the ones I can think of is we have a client who's been in our program for 5 years now. Neither myself or Kayla knew her at the beginnings. She said, I know of a friend of a friend of a friend who knows you too. She said, you're opening up a year-long program. I want to get in. At the time, I won't name any names, but she worked for not a government role, a corporate role here in the city. And she had a lot of dreams that always ended with, but yeah, or yeah, but I want to do all these things. Yeah, but I don't think I can. Yeah, but I don't have boundaries, like all these little stories. And so she started working with us. She had a dream to go out and start her own business. It's 5 years later. In the first year, she left that 9 to 5 and started up her own practice. She's in healthcare. In the second year, she went on to the online space and started creating courses and programs and memberships. In the third year, she went on to create a year-long program herself. And last year and now this year, she is the co-owner of Victoria's first woman-owned integrative health clinic, like physical clinic space for women. Go in, all your supportive needs, whether you're, you know, trying to conceive or you're in perimenopause or you're dealing with hormones for your menstrual cycle. She owns that.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that. She just kept
Kept
showing up.
showing up.
She kept showing up and saying, like, this is where I feel stuck or this is what I'm scared of. And what I really love to remind people of is your fear is not universal and it's not truth. So if you were to say to me, I'm afraid that if I use my voice and speak my truth, that everybody is going to think that I'm like on my high horse or better than them. And that might be your fear.
Did you just read my thoughts? Because I do think that.
And I would say, well, that's not my fear. That's not universal truth. Everybody doesn't believe that. So we can just get to the root of it right away. Why do you believe that? What do you really believe about that? How is that supporting you to move forward? Let's remove that belief. And then what's possible when you don't believe that anymore? You're going to do a whole lot more.
Do you find like people sometimes regress and then they have to go like, is there, or is it just like we're just knocking it out of the park? That belief is just gone.
Well, I think life happens. So, again, we've got a lot of people who've been with us year after year. And I would say right now, like the bulk of the people in our year-long program are in their third year. Like the people who started with us in 2023, they formed such a bond and they're like super alumni and I think they'll be with us forever. So there's a whole crew of them. And I think about a good portion of them in the last 2 years have been through divorces, they've been through child loss, they've been through being let go of their like permanent position while they were trying to build up their side business. So life happens, life is gonna life. And so you're gonna get past this one big hurdle and feel like you're a superstar and then your marriage is going to come to an end. And I think what's important is that if your marriage is going to come to an end, rather than being in a silo or like silently suffering, and your business takes a back burner, so now your business suffers, your finances suffer, your marriage has suffered, your love life is suffering, like that one area is going to suck for a little bit, but you still have your girlfriends and you still have your business and you still have your way to make money and everybody is really trustworthy. So they'll just tell us like, hey, I'm really having a hard time showing up right now. This is what's going on in my personal life. And we would never push anybody, but we just remind everybody that if you stop your business, it will stop. But is there a way to continue? Like, can we support you in any way to still get your podcast out there, still make some social posts so that everything doesn't have to crumble because this one area of your life is crumbling. So yeah, life's gonna life for sure.
Life is lifing. Yeah, that's a seriously good motto because I think sometimes, I know personally for myself, I am a big go-getter. I started with my first company when I was 25 and there's been hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like right now I'm restarting things and I feel like I'm trying to find my people. I work from home. It's sometimes hard to like motivate yourself or keep yourself on task or, sometimes we just get stuck. We get stuck creatively. We can speak creatively. We get stuck creatively and emotionally. And yeah, we can't see our own, I'm going to call it our own BS, but it's technically called limited beliefs. You're just out here helping people like for real. One question I really do have, though, is I know you were a teacher and then you did all the classes, but do you think that this was a gift that you had from a younger age? Like, do you think or was this just all taught to you, like from your coaching, or do you think this was like part of Nicole's personality?
I feel kind of rare in when I talk to people. I had an incredible upbringing. Both my parents were huge champions of be confident, be independent, allowed me to do whatever I wanted. There weren't really a whole lot of like rules, or there was never a be quiet or you can't try that. And I loved having a microphone. So if anybody would give me a microphone as a kid, I was taking it. I wanted to be front stage in the play. I wanted to be school president. And we always joke, Kayla and I laugh. She says, that's one of your favorite accolades. But it is. When I was in grade 12, I had a grad class. I was in a grad class of like almost 400 people. And I was voted friendliest grad. And I wear that badge with honor, because it's truly part of my personality to make everybody feel welcome. It doesn't matter if you're not like me or we don't like the same things. I want you to feel included and feel like you also have a special little gift. And I feel like my parents made me feel that way. And so then I got to bring that into the classroom. I taught high school, so I had kids who definitely hated coming to school.
Yeah.
But once I could find out like their one little gift, like, hey, you love YouTube, so you can do all of your homework on a YouTube video if that's going to make you happy. And then they'd be like, oh my God, I love coming to your class. And I'm like, you really just have to be able to see the strength in people. And so I do think that I know that that is my gift, is being able to see like, you're actually really good at this. So let's stop worrying about what you're not good at and like super explode what you are good at. Coach training and yoga training, and I've done lots of traveling. I think just living has given me lots of exposure and experience. And then coming into this work, it just feels very natural.
Yeah, back to like kind of finding the strength in people. My doctor, he's a naturopath, and he's also one of my really good friends. And a couple years ago, he gave me a book, and it was all about empowering people to like hone in on their strength. So he's a doctor. His dad was more like mechanical. He was just telling me one thing about like raising my own kids, and just really like shine into them what they're good at and don't make them what they're not, right?
Yeah.
So
It's kind of like there's no point.
no, but I guess you would have seen a lot of this being a teacher, right? Because there's also like, are you a parent as well?
Trying.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, we're trying.
so I have a 12-year-old right now, and he is like dead set on like becoming his own person. And I have a 17-year-old who's now going to college. And it's funny because I really have to check myself sometimes. I'm like, oh, that's not what I would have chose for you. I just think that you having that quality of being able to see people who they truly are and support them in that is like a really cool thing.
Like you just said, like didn't see that for him. My parents did not see this for me. Like I just shared like, they didn't really have any rules, and it was kind of just like try and figure it out for yourself sort of thing. But when it comes to the whole conversation of breaking glass ceilings, I don't think anybody would have predicted that I would be here. And by here, I mean in Victoria, British Columbia, co-CEO of this company, top podcaster, like all of these things, because I grew up in a small town in Nova Scotia with 3,000 people.
Oh, wow.
And both of my parents had their steady, like blue collar jobs for 30 plus years. I was the first person in my immediate family on my mom's side, and I've got a lot of cousins. I mean, we're East Coasters, so big families that got a university degree. Like that wasn't a thing. You didn't go to post-secondary. You kind of just like got out of school and got like a job.
You didn't leave the town
Right. You didn't leave the town, and you stayed with the person that you were with and had babies and settled down, regardless if you're miserable or not. And I knew I have this very pivotal memory of being in grade 8. So I'm going to be 39 next month. So I don't know where we're at, if we're similar timelines here, but
I'm 42.
okay, so we're kind of close. So grade 8 is the year 2000, 1999, 2000. And The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio comes out on the movie theater. I'd never been on an airplane. I'd never been anywhere with my parents, like on a vacation outside of like PEI. And I go see The Beach, and I was instantly like,
When you saw Leonardo DiCaprio, or when you saw,
when I saw The Beach, when I saw
when you saw the beach?
I was like, where in the world is this? How do I get there? I want to live like this.
Was it in Thailand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is where I spent my 31st birthday. So I see the beach, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to travel. But I don't come from a family or a town of people who travel. So I'm going to have to get creative here. And I moved through high school, and I want to be an actress, and I want to live in New York, and I just want anybody to give me a talk show. And like, I just want a microphone. And again, that's not really happening with my surroundings at school and that sort of thing. And my parents never pushed me to go to post-secondary. They didn't go to post-secondary. So they didn't push me, but it was my teachers and my friends. All my teachers were like, school, it's easy for you. My friends were all like, we're going to go to university. You should come. And I kind of felt like I disregarded my intuition altogether. My intuition said, buy a plane ticket, figure it out, go somewhere else. So instead, I go to university and I get a degree. And I almost got kicked out my first year. I was raging in the hallways, left, right, and center. My poor dad had to pay fines for me drinking in the hallway all the time.
Drinking alcohol
Yes.
at school.
At university. Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
I don't see it, but that's okay. Wait. No, you look really well put together.
Oh my God. No, everybody in my
One of
life.
my best friends. I think I might have put a bottle of alcohol in my locker when I was in high
Oh,
school.
me and my friends would tape it in high school, tape bottles of vodka to our legs underneath our dresses and then go in the bathroom and then just like put them up in the ceiling and then be able to go in. Oh, I was wild. And all my friends knew I was the last one to close down a party. I was the latest one to stay up late. I had this whole decade of partying. I did not want to be at school. Get me on a plane. I want to get to the beach. And then finally, when I graduated university, I was like, okay, cool. Now I have a degree and I'm no further ahead. I can't get any job with this Bachelor of Arts. And I've got tons of debt. What do I do now?
And I can't drink with the kids in class.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't a teacher yet. I didn't have
Oh, you were the teacher.
no, I didn't want to be a teacher. That was not even a
Okay,
thought
it's
to me.
when you were doing the Bachelor.
I just got a Bachelor of Arts. I was like, I guess I'm just going to do this. And so me and all my friends graduate and we're all in the same position where we have a Bachelor of Arts. Woo, we're not any more employable. We're 22 and we're in a lot of debt. And we said, let's book a plane ticket and move to Banff. I'd never been out of Nova Scotia, like out west. And so we all book a one-way ticket to Banff. My mom was like, you're just going to move to Alberta. I was like, yes. Later.
Yeah.
So on the plane ride out to Calgary, we meet people and they were like, oh, you should go to Canmore instead. Never heard of Canmore in my life. And so my friends and I get out of the airport at Calgary. We were like, okay, so let's go stay at this hostel in Canmore that people told us
You're like,
about.
we're going to Canmore now.
We're going to Canmore now. This is the plan. We hand out resumes. We all got jobs the first day in the restaurant industry and hospitality. That I lived in Canmore for a year. And if you've ever been to Canmore, it's all Aussies and New Zealand people and everybody's there snowboarding. So it's a dream. And then I'm meeting all these people who were quite nomadic and had traveled all around the world and had been to the beach in Thailand. And I'm like, oh my God, this is actually what I want. So I lived that lifestyle for a few years. And then when I was 25, I had this like, oh my gosh, my friends are like starting to settle down and get serious and have babies. And that is not what I'm on the trajectory to do. In a moment of panic, I was like, what can I do for a real job? I applied to get my Bachelor of Education. I went back to university for 2 more years. Got out of that, got my teaching job. And it was like I had it all. I've got the pension now. I've got the benefits. I'm a good teacher. And I did that for 3 years and I was absolutely miserable. I was like, this
Man.
is not me. I want to travel. I want to explore. I don't want to be capped in this 9 to 5 bullshit. I don't actually believe in a pension. Am I going to live till I'm 65? Can I just save this money
I
myself?
gotta do this for another
I'm like,
30 plus years.
something
Were you in a
right here.
relationship at the same time?
I was engaged. I was with my ex for 6 years. We were engaged. Our wedding was booked, paid for, planned in the Dominican Republic, and like 50 of our family members. And then I found out he was cheating. And that was the best gift ever. I found out he was cheating right before right before my 30th birthday, right before the wedding. And it was in my 3rd year of teaching. I was in an isolated community up north. I took a teaching job at like the border of the Northwest Territories.
Oh, wow.
So I was like in the middle of nowhere. Finding out he cheated on me, I was like, well, we're done. And I called off the wedding and my mom said, let's all still go to the Dominican. So my family all still went. And I got there and I had the honeymoon suite and the champagne and everything. But it was quite isolating and lonely. And I found myself reverting back to like 19-year-old Nicole. I was partying hard. And I think my friends and family started to get worried and they were like, you're in this little town in the middle of nowhere. You don't have anybody up there. What's going on? Like, is this really what you want to do? And for my 30th birthday, I said I went to Thailand, but that was my 31st. For my 30th birthday, my sister and I went to Vegas and we went to go see Justin Bieber.
Oh my goodness. And we're like, why were we not growing up in the same town? We would have been best friends.
I think we would have.
Yeah.
So we're poolside.
Justin Bieber?
I love Justin Bieber. And we're poolside. We're in Vegas. And my sister was like, okay, what is going on? You can't go back up to your job. You can't keep doing your job. You have to go somewhere else. You need to go somewhere where it's sunny and like give yourself a break. That had never occurred to me. I was like, take a year off teaching. I just went 6 years of university for this. I'm $100,000 in debt. take a year off.
Wow.
And she was like, Nicole, I think we're all pretty worried about you. I think you should take a year off. And my friend, who met a guy in Canmore who was from Australia, ended up marrying him. And so she lived in Australia. And
Oh.
my sister said, why don't you go stay with Jade for a couple of months and figure it out? So at 30 years old, I resigned from my permanent teaching position, gave up all the pension, the benefits, everything, booked a flight to Australia. You could still get a working holiday visa at 30. You can get it till you're 31.
Right. Yeah.
And I moved to Australia, and that was the beginning of completely changing the trajectory of my life at 31.
And I have to ask, because you are a mindset coach and you went through all that, did you ever have limited beliefs? Like all that was happening and it seems like you kind of kept going and going and just kind of, you were just like, yep, I'm going to go to Australia. Nothing kept you stuck. It seemed like I know you were partying.
Yeah.
But like, I guess on the mindset side, did you ever have anything like, oh, like, woe is me, this guy, and like did any of those things snag you up, I guess is the question, or affect you from moving life into a different direction?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that I had to work through deeply, profoundly with coaching, and I did plant medicine and different types of
Like
healing,
ayahuasca
like ayahuasca.
in Costa Rica?
No, in Australia, in Mullumbimby in the jungle, and it's completely changed my life. But I had to rework my belief around it wasn't too late to find somebody and settle down and have a family. I had to rework my belief that not every single man is going to cheat. I had to rework my belief that I was worthy of meeting somebody and like having true love. Like all those things I had to rework because me 10 years ago did not believe those. Like I believed every single man except my dad as an intimate partner would cheat on their wife because that was my only experience. So
Yeah.
of course it built my belief system. Because my previous ex to my ex-fiance I was with for 5 years and he cheated. So I had my teenage years and all through my 20s built on the belief that men cheat. And so that's not really a great way to move through life. And yeah, so I had those things to work through, and it's really funny now because I do so much money mindset work with people and I support people to make a lot of money and be very okay with that. But I had this like cap on just make enough to survive. Like if I can just waitress a couple of shifts a week to pay my rent, pay my student loan, and buy groceries to survive, that's all. I don't need to make more than that. And now like I literally could not imagine thinking that way.
I think that way right now.
Yeah,
I'll just
a
admit
lot
that.
of people do.
I don't know
I
if
think that's common.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm with the masses.
Yeah, it's more common than not. I mean, Kayla and I started My Aligned Purpose with our course. It was called Manifesting Money Masterclass, and we sold 600 of those courses. 600 people, well, actually more than 600, but we know the last cap is at 600 of women, all women who've purchased it, who have been like, I either don't open my bills or I'm in debt or I'm afraid to spend my money or I'm afraid to ask for more or I'm not earning what I need to. Like so many stories and beliefs are wrapped around women and money. And so since Kayla and I figured it out and had to do it the hard way and learn it for ourselves, now we're like, oh, okay, we can actually support you with this really fast.
So how did you work through back to like, when you were 30 and you were going to Australia and working through those cheating limited beliefs to kind of like restart your life? Like, how did you do that? Did you do that yourself or did you get coaching?
Okay, so I'd never heard of coaching until I went to Australia. The move to Australia was more like a desperate attempt to feel happy again. I was like, I'm so burnt out. I'm so tired. I can't keep like getting out of the classroom at 3 p.m. on Friday and drinking my way until Sunday night and then being exhausted and burnt out Monday through Friday again. Like, I can't keep living like this. So when my sister presented the idea, and I think that's what a great coach does, is they present ideas to you that you might not have thought of. And when my sister said, why don't you go to Australia? That was something I'd never thought of. And I thought, I am a risk taker and I do like traveling. And I had a friend there and I thought, what's the worst that can happen? It literally can't be worse than this. It can't be worse than this. Living in the middle of fucking nowhere, teaching grade 7s. You just said you have a 12-year-old.
He's in grade 7.
Yeah.
Worst age for them. I feel for them.
Yeah.
And the teachers that have to.
I taught grade
witness
7
this.
for 3 years. I was teaching grade 7. I'm in the middle of nowhere. My fiance had just cheated on me. couldn't buy a fresh fruit to save my life because I was 8 hours from an airport. Like, I'm talking, I'm really in the middle of nowhere. It's snowing 9 months of the year and it's dark and I'm depressed and I'm drinking
Wow.
my weekends away. There has to be another way. And so that's the push to Australia. Then I got to Australia and it had been like a year and a half since my ex had cheated on me. And I finally felt ready to date and I got on Tinder for the very first time. I'd never been on a dating app. I thought, what's the worst that can happen? I go on Tinder. I match this guy. And
What was the first do I put another shrimp on the barbie? Like, what did we say on Tinder in Australia?
I can't quite
Or
remember.
is it just
He was
how you
actually
doing? How you doing, mate?
he was actually a Kiwi who lived
Oh, okay.
in Australia. And so he came to pick me up and we went on a date and we went to brunch. And I tell this story all the time on our podcast. And we're driving down the road and he's asking me questions that nobody's ever asked me before. And just like meaningful, thoughtful, deep below the surface questions. And I was like, what do you do? And he said, oh, I'm a life coach, a life and business coach. And I, again, never heard of this. I had spent my whole life like waitressing and teaching and yoga. So like just a whole
You were
reality
just
that never existed.
innocently on Tinder, just trying to like.
Yeah. And so when he said I'm a life coach, I said, I coached basketball. I don't know what you mean, a life coach. And he's explaining it to me, like what he does. He's like, yeah, I get to ask people really powerful questions and listen to them and help them go to new levels. And I was like, this is a thing?
You're like, you get paid to do.
You get paid to do this? And then he introduces me to his buddy. And his buddy's name is Dave, who's now one of my lifelong friends. And Dave and I met, and Dave was like, you are a coach through and through. I want to hire you. Dave flew me to
They were trying
Hawaii.
to you.
Yeah. I ended up getting to go all over the place, getting to go to Hawaii and all these different places to coach in person. And I didn't have coach training. And then years went by and I wouldn't tell anybody that I was coaching. I was like, oh, I feel like such a fraud.
Can we pause there for half a sec? Okay. I love that you're a coach, but I need to be honest with you. Yeah, the internet is flooded with like coaching this, coaching that, and so that like go back to like your intro and how you were telling me your week by week and what the month looks like in your actual coaching and like this. So for me, that's why I started off there, because there are a million coaches out here that are not certified.
It's not regulated.
It's not
It will be.
regulated.
It's going to be. And all those people are going to.
And you don't know what you're going to get, right?
Mhm.
Anyways, back to that. But thank you for saying that, because that's one thing where people really need to know that you and Kayla are the real.
Yeah, we're
deal.
trained. We're trained now. Now.
Yeah.
So I wasn't trained. If we quickly connect the dots here, I moved to Australia. I meet them. We're coaching. I get to coach with them. When my year is up in Australia, I move here. I didn't know anybody here. I was like, I'm going to move to Victoria when I move back to Canada. So I found a roommate on Craigslist, got a job at Lululemon, and moved here. And while I was working at Lululemon, I had another freak out moment. And I was like, everybody's now in 32 and turning 33, and everybody's really seriously settling down. I should probably go back to the classroom. So I got a job here teaching at a high school here. While I got the job at the high school here, that's when I got to go away to Hawaii and coach. And people were like, what do you mean, like, you're coaching on the side? I'm like, oh, it's this thing that I do. And then I was teaching yoga at Fernwood. Yoga den, and I was waitressing at Stage in Fernwood. I had a million jobs because teachers are so underpaid. I served this woman one night. This is another big catalyst. I think I just say yes is the moral of the story here. This woman, I was serving her and she said, I think you're my yoga teacher on Sundays at the den. And I said, yeah. And she's like, I thought you said that you were a school teacher. I was like, I am. She's like, you do all of this. And I was like, yeah, and I actually have a nonprofit that I started. She's like, wow. And I went home that night and she had donated money to my nonprofit. And then she came to the yoga class next Sunday and she said, would you like to go for a walk with me? She tells me she's a coach here in Victoria. She's in her 50s. She's been doing it for 20 some years. She said, I would love to have you work with me. I will pay for you to go get your coach training if you'll work for me. So I did my coach training. She got me the job at the Edmonton Public School Board. COVID happened. She hired Kayla. That's how Kayla and I met.
Wow.
So Kayla and I are both coaching for her coaching company. And then COVID hit and she said, you two have to figure it out on your own. I can't be responsible to get you clients. And we were like, all right, we'll figure it out on our own.
Holy cow. Talk about the right time at the right place, and it just feels so right.
I wanted to truly live in Seattle where my sister was living, but I didn't know how to get a
That's
visa
great.
in America, and so my sister was like, "Hey, I know somebody that works at Lululemon in Victoria, want me to see if they can get you a job?" And I was like, "Okay," and I went on Craigslist and found a roommate and took the ferry up here, and I was like, "All right, I guess this is my life," and that will be 8 years in July.
I am so impressed, and I'm really glad that you actually took me on the walk through Canmore in Australia because and like having like 5 jobs because
Out of like a million.
living in Victoria is very expensive and like when you're trying to start a business or a brand and it's your side hustle and you have like 5 jobs, one of the scariest things is to let go of everything and do the one thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that you're doing that. You're like the embodiment of like coming through it all. And now you're teaching people how to raise those ceilings and achieve, success for themselves. And I think you're so amazing, and I can't wait to come to She Leads and keep following you and keep having more chats with you. And coming on Girl Get Real was such a treat. I'm so glad you came today.
Thanks for having me, Sammy. I mean, this is, getting to live out that dream. I want to chat with other people. I want to storytell. I want people to know that I'm a regular everyday human. That's part of my podcast intro. I'm a regular everyday human, just like you. And if I can live out my dreams, so can you. And I just really want people to believe that.